Welcome to the Surrogacy Scoop, a podcast brought to you by Patriot Conceptions, where we demystify the world of surrogacy from the clinical, family, and surrogate perspective. I'm your host, CJ, and today we're sitting down with Sobeida, the Surrogacy Admission Manager at Patriot Conceptions, who has had 3 journeys as a surrogate mother. Welcome to the show, Sobeida.
Thank you.
So, just right off the bat here, let's get to know you a little bit. How did you get involved with Patriot Conceptions?
So I got involved through a family friend. She had let me know she was on her first journey doing surrogacy. And I just kind of thought back to, hey, this was something that I was interested in years before I had my kids, but of course I didn't qualify. So I asked her questions and everything. Of course, she was like, well, here's the link, apply, see if you'll qualify. I'm sure you will. And it just went from there. I applied and I qualified and just started rolling with the process.
What was it like? What was your first few experiences? I know you had a little bit of family friend knowledge coming into it, but how was your experience like first couple days or your first couple interactions with Patriot?
So pretty much it was just application process, waiting to see if I qualified. Of course, they had to request my records just to make sure I've had healthy pregnancies, which I did. So I wasn't really worried about that part. So they did keep me updated once you got my records and made sure, like, hey, you do qualify. You're good to move forward. We're going to start the matching process. And once I knew I qualified and the process was going, I was like, oh my God, I'm really doing this. I'm super excited, but I'm nervous at the same time because it is my first time. Of course, I have my in-law to let me know your experiences and answer any questions and concerns I have, but I was just still kind of like, oh my God, I'm in this process. This is awesome. But it's also like I'm nervous. And then of course I had to educate my husband as well because he was just had more questions. And so pretty much it was exciting. I was nervous pretty much every step that I was completing and getting closer and closer to the transfer.
Totally. I imagine that that's just so anxiety inducing from the start, especially because you just don't really know what you're in for, right?
And it's something new. You're gonna carry someone else's baby and it makes you even more nervous. I don't want to mess this up. I just want to sit in my house all day and be safe, make sure the baby's safe. So it was a lot to go through, but I mean, I wouldn't change anything. And obviously I'm here on my 3rd journey. So that goes to show I've had nothing but great experiences.
Absolutely. When you think back to this is something you're interested in, this is something you might want to get involved in, when did you feel like you were really ready to take this on?
After I spoke about it with my partner, he's always supportive with everything that I choose to do or something that I'm interested in doing. He's always supportive, lets me know I'm here for you. Just make sure that you are aware of all the risks. Make sure that it's something that you're 100% going to commit to because you can't just back out at any moment. As of course, there's a lot of parties involved. Just from telling him what the process is and our in-law explaining everything. After we weighed out all that stuff, I was like, okay, I think I'm 100% ready. I'm positive this is something that I want to do. And I can't wait to experience giving another family, especially another woman, a child, and giving them the opportunity of motherhood. So just thinking of all that, I was like, okay, this is definitely something I feel like I want to do for sure.
I feel like to be a surrogate mother, it just takes an enormous amount of empathy. You're really, putting your body in a situation that you're voluntarily signing up for something. It's not like this is your own pregnancy, your own child. How do you, or I guess, how would you speak to that empathy piece? Did that affect you at all? Do you feel like you were carrying that with you the whole time?
Yes, just because, like I said, it's a lot of women struggle with infertility. I do have close friends that they're much older than me. I'm barely 36, and I have friends that are in their 40s, and they don't have kids, and they've been with their partners for forever, since high school. And it's always a touchy topic to bring up. Why don't you guys have kids? Which I would never. Obviously, there's probably some issues there of infertility. So just knowing that I can help a family that is struggling and a woman that is yearning for motherhood and wants to be a mom and wants a child of her own. I think that impacted me a lot, and it just made me feel more for them and want to do surrogacy.
Absolutely. I hear you there. Let's now talk a little bit about your personal day-to-day experience. What are the responsibilities of a surrogate mother that maybe doing some light research you wouldn't really know? How does it impact you having a family of your own and having a life outside of being a surrogate mother, obviously?
So, some of the main responsibilities, especially in the beginning, is being responsive with the clinics while you're going through and you're on the medication process, as that is crucial. Being on your medication and taking it on time goes into if your hormones and your hormone levels and your uterine lining is preparing and producing what it's supposed to for the embryo. So a big responsibility is for a surrogate mom is to be on their medication, take it when they're directed by the clinic. After your embryo transfer, of course, and you are pregnant, you're confirmed pregnant. Obviously, the main responsibility is keeping up with your appointments, communicating with the intended parents on how those appointments went, because, of course, they want to know how you're doing. They want to know how their baby is doing and developing and if there's any issues. So I feel like just being very responsive and communicative with the parents is one of the surrogate's main responsibilities. Other than that, I feel like just a regular pregnancy, you're just pregnant. You have to be responsible enough to keep that good communication with the parents, with your agency. We do check our surrogates throughout the process. It's not like you're just pregnant and then we're just like, oh, let us know when you deliver. We need updates, and the case manager team, they have to file paperwork for the pre-birth order and stuff. So we need constant information. Of course, we give you your privacy. We have our privacy as surrogate moms. But like I said, the main thing is being responsive to everyone, all the parties involved. And it does kind of impact your personal life because of course it takes away time sometimes with appointments. Of course, I have two kids of my own. I mainly schedule all of my appointments when my kids are at school or if they're in summer camp. That way I can drop them off and then attend my appointment and whatnot. Can impact you leaving your kids after delivery. I don't like to leave my kids too long anywhere, even if I just go out to dinner with my husband for time. I'm like, oh my God, we got to get home to the kids. So every time I deliver a baby, I just want to get home to my kids. And that's the only part for me personally that I think impacts my personal life. Of course, throughout the pregnancy as well, I'm like super careful as to where I go, where I travel, what I do, any activities. My kids love Disneyland, so when I'm pregnant, I don't think it's smart during the summer to be walking around pregnant at Disneyland because it's the heat. You're just in the heat all day. There's not like constant shade. So I wouldn't want to put my health at risk or baby or anything of being dehydrated or anything like that. So and things and activities I do refrain from while pregnant with a surrogate baby, just because I want to make sure the parents know and also myself that I'm doing everything possible to be safe and to deliver a full-term healthy baby.
Absolutely. It really does carry a lot of responsibility, ton of personal responsibility, maybe even more than you would initially consider.
It does. It's a lot. And with us and just having and carrying our own kids, we're just kind of like, oh, we're pregnant. This is kind of like the norm. But then when you're carrying someone else's baby, I have to be extra careful. I have to watch what I eat, just everything. And stay away from certain events because the crazy world that we live in now, there's always something going on. And I'd rather just stay home and be a little hermit crab until I deliver. Also, the hormones that we experience while on medication. Once we're done with medication, now we're stuck with the pregnancy hormones. So, I mean, that is a lot as well on a surrogate, and it's a lot to deal with sometimes, which is why I have the hugest heart and I love all of our surrogate girls that are going through the process and doing this because I personally know what it's like to be a surrogate. I've pretty much gone through the same process everyone else has with the medication, the screenings, all of that stuff, and it's a lot of work. It really is.
I 100% believe it. Zooming in a little bit, How was you have experiences on both sides, administrative and then also being a surrogate mother. Before you started your job that you currently have now, how was your day-to-day experience with Patriot and the team, and how did you feel supported?
Before I worked here,
Hmm.
usually everyone has a surrogate coordinator, case manager that reaches out to you during your journey just to see if you need anything, especially during legal or the embryo transfer calendar. So I did have a lot of support with Patriot as to the girls reaching out, asking if there's anything that I needed, if there's any snacks I prefer, or when they come to my transfer visits. So I did have the overall support I needed. Personally, I don't feel like I require too much anyways. I'm just kind of like, I'm going through the process and I'm doing what I have to do, whether I'm supported or not. This is something that I wanted to do and I'm going to do it. But with the extra support from Patriot and also the intended parents as coordinator as well, I felt like they cared about me. And if there was anything that I needed during the pregnancy or the process, that I can always reach out and ask and we can figure something out.
Absolutely. I've talked a little bit about the future parents. How does that communication look? What is the expectation of communication there? And are you still in contact with any of the parents who you've
Mhm.
helped bring their family together?
So, as far as the communication, once there is, I believe, the transfer, or I think after legal, once you get your embryo calendars, when we have all of our surrogates download a certain app that we have the intended parents download as well. And we use that to set up the group chats between the parents, the surrogate, us, meaning Patriot team, surrogate coordinators, case managers, and then also the intended parents as coordinators and case managers and whatnot. And we have that group set up that way we can all keep track of surrogate and her journey going forward and also support communication with how the pregnancy is going, any shared ultrasound pictures, anything that she would like to share or anything that the parents would like to ask. We always have that group chat there for communication. And then the same thing with intended parents as coordinators. Sometimes they'll check in and say, hey, you're 28 weeks today. How are you feeling? And they just give little updates. So we keep that line of communication open. That way, if anyone wants to reach out for anything, it's always there. And then what was the next question? I think there was something else.
Well, just in your experience, do you maintain any contact with any of the families that you have helped to be a part of? Or is that normal, or what is the norm around that?
So it's kind of like a touchy topic in a way. Some parents, they're okay with keeping a good relationship and communication after the baby's born, and some don't prefer to. So it just kind of depends on the parents and the surrogate in going to the beginning when we do have match calls, which is like a Zoom meeting between the intended parents and the surrogate before they are matched. They're able to ask each other those questions. We can ask, like, what kind of form of communication or relationship would you want after a closed or open, where you can just update milestones? Oh, baby turned 1. Here's a picture. So it just kind of depends case by case. Me personally, I have lost contact with the first intended parents, which is totally fine with me as well, because I don't want them to think that I am or I feel entitled to know and be in their lives or the baby's life. It is not my child. And I'm open to whatever they were open to. If they want to share pictures, of course, I want to see them. If they don't, I'm not hurt or offended by it. I totally understand. It's your child. You be a mother and you do what you choose to. For my second set of intended parents, I actually do have a close relationship with them. And the intended mom, she's awesome. She's always updating me with pictures. And just recently, I told her, I'm like, hey, send me baby's Amazon wish list for his birthday because he just turned 1 this March. So I was able to send birthday gifts, and both of the parents, they'll reach out here and there and just ask how I'm doing, send little pictures. Hey, baby Jay started walking, or he's crawling, and I just love it. And anytime that they said that they'd come back to, they're in the East Coast. So I'm in
Mm.
California. So they said when they come this way, they'll definitely message me to visit with baby, or they can come stop by. I opened my house to them before, after delivery, and they came over to visit. So that was great. We have a great relationship, and I appreciate them because they don't have to keep that line of communication if they don't want to. And just the way the mom is, she's awesome. I just adore her. So I have that good relationship with my second set of intended parents that I delivered for. And then I am on my third. So I'm not too sure how the relationship is going to go after, but we'll definitely see. And like I said, I'm open to anything. The babies, they're not mine. And I do want the parents to know, like, this is your baby. You make the choices and the decisions just like I would for mine.
It really sounds like it's a custom experience. Whatever everybody is comfortable with seems like a high priority.
It really is. It's case by case, whatever the intended parents and the surrogate agree on or what they're comfortable with, especially during a match meeting. If we have parents that are like, I want to keep good communication with you after and come visit after. And then sometimes the surrogates are kind of like, well, I don't want to because I don't want to have an emotional attachment to the baby. And then it mess up my feelings and stuff. Or it could be vice versa, where the surrogate prefers a relationship after and wants to know how the baby's doing. And the parents are like, well, we kind of closed. So during the match calls, it's like an important thing that you always let our surrogates know. Ask all the questions you want to know about the parents. That way you're comfortable with your match. And later, when there's something being decided, you're not surprised by it.
Absolutely. So, speaking to a little bit more of your role within Patriot now, what does your day-to-day life look like as a surrogate admission manager?
So day to day does vary as well. Most mornings I do get up and I check my emails and my messages to see if there's anything that needs my immediate attention, from the case managers to the surrogates or the matching coordinator as well. So usually I'm checking emails, checking messages, responding to what needs immediate attention. And then I do go on to check all my tasks, follow up with surrogates, their records. I do have a team that works under me as well. My recruiter girls, they request the records for the applicants that are coming in. And I just kind of go over what they're doing for the day, what's the progress on certain profiles and whatnot. And then we also have girls that have moved over to the matching process, compensation packages, and giving them calls to go over all of that information and any questions that they have as to when certain things start and whatnot.
You mentioned your team there. How do you feel that your experience currently as a surrogate mother and your experience in the past has influenced your management of your team or maybe your leadership style?
So I don't know. I know that, because they all know that I'm an experienced surrogate, and sometimes surrogates, they're on a specific timeline where they want to rush into the process and they want to get their records fast. So sometimes I do let them know, like, hey, we have this applicant and things are urgent. She wants to speed this along. So let's work on her profile. Yes, make it a priority or whatever. But usually just everything goes smooth, and it does help them a lot because when they are having these screening calls and intake calls also with the leads that are coming in and girls that are applying, they reach out. You have this list where I let them know certain things are okay to continue. Being an experienced surrogate, she won't qualify because history shows this on it. So it's just a lot easier and smoother for our team to know and weed out those girls that qualify, and then also the girls that don't qualify as well. Of course, we'd like to help everyone out and help everyone qualify, but we go based off of the guidelines from the clinics. And for me, working alongside case managers and the clinics is my experience, and then also with my job title as well, who's going to qualify from right from the bat.
Right. You have just like that keyed in knowledge that you just wouldn't have if you don't have that experience being a
Yeah.
surrogate mother.
Yeah. And I've also worked with, for all three journeys that I've done, I've worked with three different clinics. So it's not like the same clinic I went to. And each clinic is different. They have different guidelines. They have different requirements. And their timeline and the way they do things are different as well. So being able to know, like, okay, so she's matched with this clinic, or this is going to be her process pretty much, or I worked with this clinic and I know that they have lesser restrictions. So maybe we can try this lead out and see if she'll qualify with this clinic. So we may proceed with her or that information going forward.
Yeah. I just curious, how far along are you on your third journey right now, or what kind of stage are you at?
I'm currently 29 weeks, so I'm almost there. I'm so excited that I'm getting further and further along because once you're in your third trimester and you start to have the big belly, your energy goes down, you get tired, you want to take more naps, but you can't.
Mhm.
So I'm currently 29 weeks. I'm in the third trimester and everything's going good so far. I did have a rough start, but everything has gotten normal, back to a normal pregnancy, how all my other ones are. So I pretty much pray every day, of course, for my health, baby's health, and just that we both come out in good health and we have a smooth journey.
Oh, absolutely. So when you are thinking about the girls that you're working with, the potential first-time surrogate mothers, what are some things that you key them into that because of your experience that maybe otherwise or from coming from a leader who does not have the same experience as you do, you kind of have that insight on, or what is some advice maybe?
Just that you have a good support system, especially the women that are married or in a relationship, have a partner. Make sure that you have that good support system because once you start and once you pass and you are in the matching stage where we are setting up Zoom chats for you to meet parents to be matched with and you are matched, you can't just back out and have second thoughts or my husband has second thoughts. This process is everything to an intended parent. It's so important to them and them being excited to meet you and know that they're matched with you and like, yes, we found a surrogate, and then later finding out, oh, she can't continue, or we just want to. I always let them know, make sure you have a good support system for one, and also especially if you have a partner, and also make sure you are 100% in this because there are multiple parties involved and it is an important process to everyone. We work hard to support and represent you and get all of your records. Sometimes we have to pay for records. They're not free when we request them. It's a big process and to the parents, it's everything. We have had girls in the past where they're like, I don't think I can do this. And it just hurts the parents because they're like, oh my God, she was so awesome. We really wanted her, ask what we can do to have her reconsider. And it's just nothing we can do on our end. So I always let them know that this is a very important process to the intended parents as well as us. And just make sure you're 100% in it. Of course, you always have our support. Any questions or concerns that you have, I'm always available for a phone call, even on the weekends. Just let me know. And of course, I can give you a phone call and we can go over whatever you're concerned about or whatever you're having iffy thoughts about. And of course, I'm experienced as well. So I can definitely relate on some of the second thoughts. So I just kind of give them that advice is to make sure you are 100% ready to start this process.
Kind of speaking to that a little bit as well, aside from like the objective, you have to have these qualities or you have to have gone through these certain things to be a surrogate mother. Is there anything that at Patriot you're looking for specifically or anything unique that you like to see in a potential surrogate mother?
Having a history of healthy pregnancies, that's our main concern. You won't qualify without that. Like I said, we do request your previous medical records to make sure that they were healthy because let's say we have surrogates sometimes that apply and they say, I've had healthy pregnancies, everything's good, I've never had any issues. And then we get their records and find out that they've had high blood pressure or they hemorrhaged at delivery and they had to have blood transfusions. And all of that is a high risk for a surrogate's health. And of course, that's the last thing us and fertility doctors want to do and put someone in if they are at high risk carrying during pregnancies. So, of course, you have to have a healthy, pretty much normal pregnancy background. We do request those records just to make sure it is part of our process. It's not something that we require. It's the fertility clinics and the doctors that want to see that. Said that no one wants to put a surrogate at risk if they've had health issues during a pregnancy. So I'd say that that's number one. Have to have a healthy pregnancy history to qualify to even move forward. So that's all that we look for. And then, of course, not live in a non-surrogate friendly state, which there are very few. I think there's only three, as it's just not, how do you say it? If you deliver in that state, it's considered your baby, no matter what lawyer represents you and what pre-birth orders are filed, it's considered your baby. So of course not live in one of those states, and then just be someone that is 100% committed to the process. Those are the only things that we look for in a candidate that's applying, and just being super responsive to anything that we're asking. Sometimes we have issues getting records, and we will ask the surrogate, like, hey, this facility is not responding. We're faxing requests to get your records. Can you help us? Some girls are like, oh, yeah, I'll go down there tomorrow. And some girls are just kind of like, oh, well, I'll definitely try on my day off, which is, of course, we're appreciative of the effort, but definitely being responsive and committed to the process, like I said, is something that we look for in the candidates.
Absolutely. So maybe zooming back out a little bit, how do you feel like your experience as a surrogate mother has just impacted your life as a whole, as deep or as not deep as you want to get into it?
Well, it's opened me up to how much love that I have in my own heart. I grew up with a lot of brothers and sisters. My mom had 8 kids. And growing up, I was always the big sister. I had to take care of my brothers. My dad was at work. Sometimes I would have to stay home from school and take care of them, younger brothers that weren't in school yet. And I always said that I didn't want kids growing up. I don't want kids because you had to grow up early. And just going through that as a young girl, I didn't want kids. I was always like, no, no, no. Once I had my own kids, of course, I'm like, okay, two's enough. I'm not going to have no 8 kids, no 5 kids. So I figured after two, I'm done. It's a lot of work. And like I said, once I got reintroduced to the surrogacy thing, and I actually did it and I delivered the first baby, I just realized how much love I actually do have to give. And it's changed me over the years. Just being able to, like I said, give another woman the chance at motherhood. So just knowing that I have been able to do that has changed me. It's just like it just empowered me and made me feel like I did that, you know what I mean? Without me or any other surrogate, some of these women's chance at being a mother is not possible. And so it's an empowering thing. I love doing it, of course. I love the reaction. And it's just, like I said, it's opened up my heart so much to what I have to give. And never in my young years would I have thought I would be giving motherhood to other women. So it's actually changed me, my heart. And also, others look at me as well. My husband, he's always amazed. He's just like, babe, you are awesome. You're amazing. You're helping her become a mom. And when you hear other people say it, like, you have a beautiful soul, God has a place for you, it makes me feel really good as well. Because, like I said, without surrogates, some of these women don't have that chance at being a mother. And I think it's just something that's very empowering for us women.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing all that. It really does give a lot of perspective to, I mean, like I said earlier, there's the immense amount of empathy you have to do this. It's really not cut out for everybody. And your perspective from both sides of it is just so valuable. So I really appreciate you for sharing all that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Of course. I have so much to share, so much to say. I can talk about surrogacy, my experience, what I do. On my husband's lunch, I'll call him and I'll tell him how my day's going and what kind of cases I'm dealing with or whatever. And he listens and he's like, oh, wow. And from doing it so much and having that relationship, he knows the process sometimes too. So he'll be like, oh, so she can't continue. And I'll be like, no, but she's the sweetest girl. I want to help her. So it's so funny because, like I said, I talk about it all the time. And even with my close cousins, my family and stuff, I talk about it like I don't mean to talk about work. I don't, but it's sometimes it's not work to me because I have formed also really good friendships with some of our surrogates over the years. And we follow each other on social media and we ask each other how we're doing. A lot of them reach out to me and ask me how my journey's going. And it just feels really good to have those friendships and then for your work, not just to be work.
Oh, absolutely. You're building those relationships and also giving families and women an opportunity, as you said, that they just would not have otherwise. So it really is a beautiful thing, and I have such a great perspective on it. I'm really enjoying listening. As we wrap up today, is there anything else that you would like to share about our audience, about your experience on both sides, or just any closing words for us today?
I would just say that I do highly recommend women that are interested to at least reach out for questions. I'm always available. I always answer all of my social media messages as well. Even if you want to call company and ask for me specifically, you'll get directed to me as soon as possible. But I definitely do highly recommend if you're interested and you have questions before applying, definitely reach out. I think that being a surrogate is it's rewarding on both ends for the parents, for you, financially as well. And like I said, I highly recommend it. Everyone's experience is different, of course. Not everyone's timeline is the same. But of course, we are always here to support our surrogates and make sure that they are comfortable starting their journey and even continuing through the process. So like I said, if you have any questions or anything, if you're just interested and want to know certain things, I'm always available. I definitely reach out just to get your questions answered.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Sobeida. We really
Of course.
appreciate it. This has been the very first episode of the Surrogacy Scoop podcast. So we appreciate your time today and can't wait to keep up with you later.
Yay, thank you. I appreciate
Thank
your time
you.
this